I had a very active, healthy, and happy childhood. Everything was really good. And I hadn't been to the doctor in 6 years when all of a sudden I was diagnosed with bone cancer, which came as a total shock to my family. It was just devastating. I was too young to understand what was going on, so I kind of just went along with the flow. The doctors told us that I had a 10 to 50% chance of even living, and the fact that this could take my life made this extremely difficult for my parents. I was just like any other kid, when all of a sudden I was different. Things were different. Life was different. I was introduced to a young man named Robert Frisbee, who was kind of the hospital mascot for all the new guys. He just had a great personality, really upbeat and outgoing. I remember he had just barely gotten his prosthesis when I was diagnosed, and I was still halfway through my treatments when he finished his treatments, and we had his going away party and he was all better, and he came back for his first checkup a few weeks later, and the cancer had spread to his lungs, and he had to go through those treatments again. And he went through all the treatments again, got through it, came back for another checkup, and it was just spread through his entire body. And they had to do a bone marrow transplant, and he was almost coming out of it in intensive care until one night he just slipped away, and then he was gone. I guess having some of our hope placed in him, it was just a setback to the confidence that he had helped build in us. Well, at the same time, it was, you know, something where it's like it's time to live for Rob, you know, keep pushing and don't give up. So it's, I don't know, a double-edged sword. After 5 months of intense chemotherapy, we were presented with 3 options. We could either have the infected piece of bone removed and replaced with a donor bone, which would be so fragile that they would have to fuse my entire leg straight. I would never be able to bend my knee again. The second option was an artificial knee joint, which I wouldn't be able to be very active with. The last, most drastic option and most irreversible was amputation. Even though with amputation they said I wouldn't be able to run, they said I wouldn't be able to ride a bike, and I wouldn't be able to use it for skiing, somehow I just felt that it doesn't matter what they say. I can do anything. I'll figure out a way. And I chose amputation. I woke up in the hospital bed. My leg was gone. My life was different. I was different. But my dreams were the same. And I knew that no matter what had changed, I still wanted to do the same things. I still wanted to compete at a national level on a mountain bike. And it took 6 months and 3 surgeries before I was able to wear a prosthetic leg. In that time, I could have just hung out, sat on the couch, waited around, but I didn't want to. I wanted to be out there doing the same thing. And I got clipless pedals for my mountain bike, and I went out and I kept riding it with one leg. And I put over 600 miles on my mountain bike before I got my artificial limb. When winter came and mountain bike season was over, I started looking for something else to keep me active through the winter. And I started skiing with the National Ability Center in Park City. I progressed very quickly and immediately was invited to join their race team. And since racing was something I'd been interested in, I thought, what the heck? And I joined up with the Park City Disabled Ski Team. All of a sudden I got this idea that it'd be really cool to try telemark skiing. And I started mentioning it to some friends and different coaches and things. And everybody thought I was crazy. They're just like, you're nuts. Nobody, even if you had your knee joint, no amputee could telemark ski. It's impossible. It just couldn't be done. And that came across to me as a challenge. I had to prove that I could do it, because if I was unable to do something, that means that I am disabled. And my goal had always been to prove that I'm not disabled. I can do anything I want. And so I went out, I bought some old gear for 50 bucks, and I tried telemark skiing. First thing I found out was that they were right. It was impossible. And I quickly started trying to figure out how to make it possible. It was a very painful process, but I started figuring out what was holding me back, what was keeping me from being able to telemark ski. Every day I would go out and I would try it, and I would focus on what's not working, why isn't it working, how can I fix it, how can I make it function like there's muscles, how can I make it support my weight, how can I make it hold an edge when I turn. Taking all these teeny little aspects and figuring out how I could build something that would make that work. And I just kept doing that until one day I just realized I'm skiing. I'm an above knee amputee, telemark skiing next to anybody else, and nobody knows. I would get on the lift and people would say, hey, I saw you coming down the slope there, you looked really good, those are sweet turns. And I would say, thanks, that means a lot to me because I'm an amputee. And I'd pull my pant leg up and they'd almost fall off the lift and I just feel great. I was like, yeah, that's right, I'm pretty cool. And it was very fulfilling to me, and I just kept going with that because I kept wanting to make it better and better. I wanted to make it stronger and more durable. I went and I got a job at a machine shop, and I learned everything I could from them. And once I learned everything I could from that shop, I went and got a job in aerospace. And I started learning all about engineering and CAD design and all the more advanced things. Started learning about metallurgy and how to put things together and be able to create this idea that I had in my mind to the expectations that I had in my mind. By the time I was about 21, I'd been messing with this thing, using it for a few years, and realized that it was time to do it right. I took my concepts to aerospace engineers and to designers and machinists and prosthetists, and we developed an entirely new product from the ground up and built the first prototype. And I took it out and I tried it, and I abused it, and I tried to break it for 3 years. And I guess by the end of 3 seasons of skiing on it pretty hard and climbing on it and using it all through the year, I knew that it was there, that it was what we needed. And the result today is the XT9 energy storing prosthetic knee.
It just flops out at the top, just flop it out. An amputation is not the end of the world. In my opinion, it's been a blessing in my life to be here today and be able to do what I can do.
It's about way more than just the knee. It's really about changing the mindset and the ideas that people out there have about what is possible. I want those doctors to be able to say, you can do anything you want. You can do everything you're doing now. You can do it all to the same level, and you don't even have to take a break. You don't even have to slow down.
Don't say you can't. I mean, maybe you can't right now, but you've got your whole lifetime to try and do whatever it is that you want to do.